Senator Lindsey Graham put out a statement this morning saying that he has consulted with the president and Leader Thune and that he plans to move expeditiously on reconciliation, that this second package will deal with funding Homeland, supporting the military, and addressing voter integrity. Do you think that's feasible? And have you or Chair Arrington had any conversations with Senator Graham?
I talked to Senator Graham last night, and not specifically about this, other matters, but I'm glad to know the Senate is interested in reconciliation 2.0. As you know, I had been a broken record. We need to do that. It's an important legislative tool. We already had a set of priorities that we're working on in the House, and it is possible that the defense supplemental will be a part of that package, but we don't yet have the details. And I know you all have a lot of questions this morning about what the number is going to be requested, and so do I. We haven't gotten that yet. I think they're tabulating that. I think the Department of War and ONB and the administration are working that out, and I suspect we'll get a specific request, and that's how the process works. And when we get that, we will go through our processes here to review that and look at it and check its feasibility and all of that. But
John here, pull up a chair, we're going deep. Speaker Johnson turned against Trump in a dramatic vote are false. The reality is far less explosive. Headlines have distorted what actually happened, and the narrative of a political earthquake doesn't match the facts. The real story is more complex and less sensational. Can you imagine the audacity? The Speaker of the House, the second most powerful position in the federal government, publicly stabbing his own party leader in the back? That's what these viral clips are screaming at us. They paint a picture of chaos, of a leadership structure crumbling from within, of a president who has lost control of the very chamber that is supposed to be his strongest ally. The videos are slick, the narration is urgent, and the message is crystal clear. Mike Johnson has betrayed Trump.
It may be, sadly, and I will say this, and it would be a sad outcome, that we would have to get a military funding bill done with only Republican votes. That's what the reconciliation package will allow. It's quite sad and really shocking and dangerous. Again, Democrats, with their crazy policies, they have Trump derangement syndrome. I don't even think they would agree to vote on a bill that would simply restock our munitions. We used some of those, as you know, in Operation Epic Fury. And we've got to do that. It's a necessity. The first job of the federal government is to protect people. But Democrats, I don't think we can count on their leaders to do the simple, basic responsibility of Congress.
Mr. Speaker,
It's part of reconciliation.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, good morning. On the government shutdown, Mr. Speaker, it seems as though Republicans and Democrats are talking past one another right now. Is the only person who could solve this the President of the United States, and why isn't he involved?
Well, I think he is involved. I mean, I know
he knocked down the plan yesterday.
No, that's what's been reported. Okay.
He said that in the Oval Office that he was not pleased.
It sounds like the kind of explosive political drama that defines eras, the kind of betrayal that goes down in history books. People are sharing it, commenting on it, and reacting with outrage and shock. The narrative is spreading like wildfire, and it all seems so convincing, so real. But what if everything you're hearing is a complete and utter fabrication? What if the entire premise of these viral sensations is built on a foundation of lies, distortions, and a fundamental misunderstanding of how the United States Congress actually functions? It's a question that demands our attention, especially in an age where misinformation can travel faster than the truth and where a simple video clip can rewrite history in the minds of millions. The story of Johnson's alleged betrayal is captivating.
Well, I actually have his exact book somewhere. I think he said that, to paraphrase him, I think he said he's a little skeptical or cynical that the deal's going to come together. What we're hearing, okay, in our chamber is that there's discussions going on and Democrats are demanding to break off Homeland and fund it separately. I'm so appreciative. Congressman Siscomani, as he noted, he was in charge of the Homeland bill as it's in its earliest stages coming through the House, and it was a bipartisan bill. Remember, the Democrats agreed with all that. They understood. It's one of the 12 appropriations bills in their annual appropriations packages, and we always have Homeland funded as an entire department. There's obvious reasons for that. It's very important. I don't think we need to be breaking it apart. And so I think that's what the president is reflecting there. He wants Congress to do its dang job. We have done it. The Republicans have, but the Democrats are refusing to go along on that, even though just several weeks ago, they were in favor of it. Now, they don't think it's politically advantageous for them, and they're playing games, and it's endangering the lives of American citizens.
But it's also a textbook example of how false narratives are constructed and weaponized in the digital age. We need to peel back the layers, look beyond the sensational headlines, and examine the cold, hard facts of what actually transpired on the House floor. Let's rewind the clock and go back to the precise moment that sparked this entire firestorm. The United States House of Representatives was conducting a vote on a highly contentious piece of legislation, a war powers resolution concerning Iran. This wasn't some minor procedural motion. This was a significant piece of legislation that touched upon the fundamental constitutional balance of power between the executive and legislative branches. Democrats had introduced the resolution.
And it's causing real hardship for people. Do you know that there are 450, approximate number this morning, there are 450 TSA agents who are no longer going to work for the agency? How can you blame them? As Peter Scalise said, 49% of FY26, the fiscal year, they have been unpaid. This is a real hardship for their families and all the travelers, business travelers, people traveling to go to funerals and weddings and with their families. They can't get through the airports because the Democrats are playing games. And you know what? You should ask the ultimate question: why? Why is Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, why are they doing it? Why would they? They know this is crazy. They have to know it's crazy to not be able to call this out. Why are they doing it? Because they're afraid of their radical base. Boom, that's it. That's why they gave us the longest shutdown in history last fall, and that's why we're on the second longest shutdown in history right now. They are afraid to go to their base and say that they're doing anything that complies with common sense and their basic responsibility, because their base is screaming that they're not fighting Trump enough. It's crazy. I don't know another word to describe it, and they're putting everybody in jeopardy, all the inconvenience and all the hardship.
Arguing that President Trump's ongoing military actions against Iran required explicit congressional authorization. They invoked the War Powers Act, a law designed to ensure that the president cannot unilaterally engage in prolonged military conflicts without the consent of the people's representatives in Congress. It was a classic constitutional showdown, the kind of debate that the Founding Fathers envisioned when they crafted the delicate balance of power that defines our republic. The resolution was a direct challenge to the president's authority. It asserted that Congress, and Congress alone, has the power to declare war and authorize sustained military operations.
For their own political skins. That's it. Okay.
Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. First off, go Lady Tigers on Friday. Second of all, there's talk about the Pentagon is supposedly dispatching 2,000 troops. How is that not putting boots on the ground? And you said we're not at war. How is that not an escalation of war in Iran?
Look, I think it sends a signal to Iran that they better get their act together. We need to resolve this quickly, and that's the president's interest, and that's ours. It's everyone's. You need to. Operation Epic Fury is almost done. I mean, I think the mission that was very clearly defined in the beginning, the objectives have been met. We have to get the Strait of Hormuz straightened out, and we need our international partners to help with that, because it's a giant project that involves everybody around the world at some level. So I'm optimistic that's going to happen. The buildup of troops is very different than boots on the ground. We don't have boots on the ground. I don't think that's the intention, but I think Iran should watch that buildup, and they need to take note of that. They have to reopen the Strait. They have to be good neighbors to their Middle East neighbors over there in the region.
The Democrats argued that Trump's military campaign in the Middle East, while possibly justified, had exceeded the constitutional limits of executive power. They insisted that the president needed to come to Congress, make his case, and receive formal approval before continuing. This is the very essence of the checks and balances system that prevents any one branch of government from becoming too powerful. The Republicans, on the other hand, largely rallied behind President Trump. They argued that as commander-in-chief, the president possesses inherent authority to conduct military operations and respond to threats without being bogged down by congressional bureaucracy. They saw the resolution as an unnecessary and dangerous restriction on the president's ability to protect the nation. The vote was tense, the chamber was packed, and the stakes were incredibly high. When the final tally was announced, the results sent a tremor through the political establishment. The resolution passed with a final count of 215 to 208. A majority of the House had sided with the Democrats, voting to assert congressional authority over the president's military actions. On the surface, this appears to be a significant defeat for the Trump administration, a repudiation of his foreign policy approach by the legislative branch. But the real story, the one that the viral videos have completely twisted and distorted, lies not in the final vote count, but in the specific identities of the individuals who cast those votes. This is where the fabrication begins. This is where the truth becomes a casualty of the relentless pursuit of clicks, views, and engagement. The viral videos, in their desperate attempt to create a sensational narrative, took a crucial step that crosses the line from biased reporting to outright deception. They focused on the fact that the resolution passed and that some Republicans had broken ranks to support it. But instead of accurately reporting which Republicans defected, they made a fatal error, either through ignorance or deliberate maliciousness. They claimed that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, was among those who voted against the president. They alleged that Johnson had personally cast a vote to curtail Trump's military powers, a stunning act of betrayal that would have been the political equivalent of a knife in the back. The claim is shocking because it's designed to be shocking. A speaker betraying a president from his own party is the stuff of political legend. It's the kind of event that dominates news cycles for weeks, destroys careers, and reshapes party dynamics. It's the ultimate betrayal of trust and loyalty. The videos ran with it, using dramatic music, urgent narration, and carefully chosen clips to make the story as explosive as possible. They painted a picture of a Republican Party in disarray, with its most powerful figure in the House turning against its de facto leader. It's a narrative perfectly calibrated to generate outrage, fear, and a sense of impending doom among Trump supporters, while simultaneously delighting his opponents. It has all the ingredients of a viral hit: drama, conflict, and a powerful figure brought low. But here's the thing about that narrative. It's built on a lie. A colossal, easily verifiable, and completely unnecessary lie. The truth is far less dramatic, far more mundane, and far more indicative of how the legislative process actually works. It's a truth that reveals the viral videos not as legitimate news sources, but as merchants of misinformation, peddling falsehoods for profit and influence. Let's set the record straight on exactly who did what. When the roll was called for the Iran War Powers Resolution, 4 Republican representatives stepped forward and voted with the Democrats. Their names are Tom Barrett, Brian Fitzpatrick, Warren Davidson, and Thomas Massie. These were the individuals who broke from the Republican leadership's position and supported the resolution to limit the president's military authority. They had their reasons, likely rooted in constitutional principles, concerns about executive overreach, or perhaps even the specific sentiments of the districts they represent. They made a choice, a legitimate political choice, and voted their conscience on a matter of grave national importance. This is the kind of thing that happens in Congress all the time. Individual members of a party will occasionally break with the leadership on specific issues, especially ones as weighty as the authorization of military force. The number 4 is critical here. 4 House Republicans broke ranks. 4 individual members voted their conscience. 4 men decided to side with the Democrats on this specific piece of legislation. Nowhere in that list of names does the name Mike Johnson appear. The Speaker of the House, the man accused of betrayal by every viral video and sensational headline, was not one of those 4 Republicans. He did not cast a vote on the resolution at all. His name is not on the voting record supporting the measure. He is simply not part of the equation when it comes to the members who defected. This is the fundamental fact that the viral videos either missed entirely or deliberately chose to ignore. They attributed a vote to Johnson that Johnson did not cast. This brings us to a crucial distinction that is often lost in the chaos of modern political coverage: the difference between the Speaker of the House and a regular voting member of Congress. It's a distinction that seems obvious, but is frequently misunderstood or deliberately misrepresented. The Speaker is not just another member of the House. They are the presiding officer, the chief administrator, and the leader of the majority party. Their responsibilities extend far beyond simply casting votes on legislation. The Speaker is responsible for managing the entire legislative process. They decide which bills come to the floor, when they are debated, and how they are voted on. They work behind the scenes to build consensus, wrangle votes, and ensure the party's agenda moves forward. It's an incredibly demanding role, one that requires a delicate touch, strategic thinking, and a broad perspective on the entire legislative landscape. Because of these vast administrative responsibilities, it is a long-standing tradition and common practice for the Speaker to abstain from voting on certain pieces of legislation. Sometimes they vote and sometimes they don't. When they do abstain, it's often to maintain a degree of neutrality in their role as the impartial manager of the chamber, or simply because their focus needs to be on the larger picture of governance rather than on every single individual vote. The Speaker's power is not derived from their personal vote, but from their ability to control the flow of legislation and guide their party's agenda through the House. So when the viral videos claim that Johnson voted against Trump, they were not only wrong about the vote itself, but also fundamentally misrepresented the nature of the Speaker's job. They applied the rules of a regular member to a figure whose role is entirely different. By not voting on the resolution, Johnson was performing his role as Speaker in a completely normal and expected way. He was managing the floor, overseeing the legislative process, and ensuring that the vote was conducted fairly and according to the rules. His focus was on the procedural integrity of the House, not on the specific outcome of that particular vote. This is a critical point that completely dismantles the narrative of betrayal. How can you betray someone when you didn't actually do the thing you're being accused of? How can you stab someone in the back when you weren't even holding a knife? The accusation falls apart the moment you examine the actual voting record and understand the Speaker's unique role. Now, let's examine Johnson's actual record of supporting Donald Trump's agenda. If there were any doubt about where his loyalties lie, a quick look at his legislative actions would dispel it completely. Just a short time before the Iran vote, Johnson led the House in passing a massive $95 billion budget package. This wasn't just any budget. It was a comprehensive package that included key items from Trump's policy wish list. It included funding for Trump's military operations against Iran, the very operations that the Democrats were trying to curtail with the War Powers Resolution. It included Trump's voter ID legislation and proof of citizenship requirements, a cornerstone of the administration's efforts to reform election integrity. It was a budget explicitly designed to advance the president's priorities, and Johnson was the chief architect behind its passage. He twisted arms, made deals, and used all the power at his disposal to get it through the House. That's not the action of a man betraying the president. That's the action of a man working tirelessly to advance the president's agenda. Johnson's support for Trump extends beyond just the budget. He has consistently used his position to defend the administration's policies in the public eye and to keep the House majority focused on the issues that Trump cares about most. He has been a vocal advocate for the administration's trade policies, its approach to immigration, and its judicial appointments. He has gone on the record multiple times to express his support for Trump and to dismiss any rumors of a rift between them. This is a pattern of behavior, a consistent track record of loyalty and support. The viral videos, however, want you to focus on one isolated event, a vote that Johnson wasn't even a part of, to paint a picture of a fractured relationship. It's a classic case of cherry-picking data to fit a predetermined, sensational narrative. And what does Donald Trump himself have to say about all of this? He has been asked about his relationship with Johnson, and his answers have been nothing but supportive. He has publicly expressed his confidence in Johnson, stating that he will support the Speaker even if Republicans lose the House in the upcoming midterm elections. He has dismissed any talk of a threat to Johnson's position, saying he believes there is no serious challenge to his leadership. Trump has not criticized Johnson, he has not called him out, and he has not suggested that he feels betrayed. Instead, he has backed Johnson unequivocally, standing behind his Speaker and affirming their partnership. This is a crucial piece of evidence that completely contradicts the viral narrative. If Johnson had truly betrayed Trump, would Trump be singing his praises? Would he be publicly expressing his unwavering support? Of course not. The relationship between Trump and Johnson, as described by both parties, is one of mutual respect and shared goals. The viral videos are simply ignoring this reality to push their own false narrative. The disconnect between the viral videos and the reality of Johnson-Trump relationship is a stark example of the misinformation that has become so pervasive in our media landscape. The videos are not just mistaken, they are actively misleading people using false claims to generate outrage and views. They take a complex legislative reality, a story about 4 individual Republicans breaking ranks, and they twist it into a simple, emotionally charged story about betrayal by a powerful leader. It's a narrative that is far more exciting than the truth, far more likely to get shared, and far more damaging to the public's understanding of government. This is how false narratives take hold, and it's why we all need to be more critical consumers of information, especially when that information comes in the form of a slickly produced video with a sensational title. Think about the mechanics of how this falsehood spread. A real vote happened, some Republicans voted against Trump, the vote passed, that's all true. But then someone, perhaps a content creator looking for a quick viral hit, decided to attribute that vote to the wrong person. They saw an opportunity to create a much bigger story, a story about the speaker betraying the president, and they ran with it. They didn't check the facts. They didn't understand the speaker's role. They just saw a way to generate a ton of engagement and they took it. Then, other creators, seeing the success of the first video, repeated the claim. They amplified the falsehood. Soon it was everywhere, repeated so often and so confidently that it began to seem like the truth. This is the viral media ecosystem in action, and it's a system that rewards sensationalism over accuracy, drama over truth, and emotion over reason. The financial incentives at play here are critical to understanding why this happens. Viral videos generate money through views, likes, shares, and comments. The more dramatic and outrageous the claim, the more engagement it generates. A story about Johnson loyally supporting Trump? That's boring. Nobody shares that. A story about Johnson stabbing Trump in the back? That's explosive. That's drama. That's engagement. That's money. So content creators have a direct financial incentive to make their stories as dramatic as possible, even if it means stretching the truth or outright lying. They are not operating as journalists, they are operating as entertainers. And their goal is not to inform, but to captivate. This is the dark underbelly of the viral video economy. And it's a major driver of the misinformation that plagues our political discourse. The real tragedy here is the damage this does to the public's trust in government and its understanding of the political process. When millions of people are exposed to a false narrative about a leader betraying his president, it breeds cynicism. It makes people feel like the entire system is corrupt and dysfunctional, full of backstabbing and treachery. It erodes the trust that is so essential for a healthy democracy, and it obscures the real, more nuanced story about how Congress actually works. The real story is that there are disagreements, even within political parties. There are members who vote their conscience based on their deeply held beliefs. There is a leadership that works to advance its agenda, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. These are the workings of a normal, functioning, and vibrant democracy. But the viral videos present a distorted, chaotic, and dysfunctional picture. One that serves their own interests, but harms the public. Understanding the facts of this situation protects you from being manipulated. By knowing that Johnson did not vote on the resolution, that the defectors were Barrett, Fitzpatrick, Davidson, and Massie, and that Johnson has been consistently advancing Trump's agenda, you can see through the false claims. You can recognize the video for what it is, a piece of misinformation designed to trigger an emotional reaction. You can share the correct information with your friends and family, helping to stop the spread of the falsehood. And you can become a more discerning consumer of news in general better equipped to separate fact from fiction in a media landscape full of traps. This is the ultimate lesson from the saga of Johnson's alleged betrayal. It's a lesson about media literacy, about the importance of checking sources, and about the need to understand the basic mechanics of our government. So, the next time you see a viral video making a shocking claim about a political betrayal, remember this story. Remember how a sensational narrative was built on a foundation of lies and misunderstandings. Ask yourself, who actually voted? Who is the video accusing? Did that person actually do what the video is claiming? Is the video accurately representing the institutional role of the person they're accusing? By asking these questions, you take the power back from the purveyors of misinformation. You become an informed citizen, not a passive consumer of propaganda. The relationship between Mike Johnson and Donald Trump is not one of betrayal and conflict. It is a relationship of support and shared purpose, even as individual members of their party exercise their right to disagree on specific issues. That's the truth. And it's a truth that should give us confidence in the resilience of our institutions, even in the face of viral falsehoods. The narrative of Johnson's betrayal was a fiction, a phantom created by the need for digital drama. But the reality of Johnson's loyalty and Trump's support is a testament to the fact that not everything you see on the internet is as it seems. By looking past the headlines and into the substance, we can all gain a clearer picture of what actually happens in the halls of power. This story serves as a powerful reminder that in the age of information, the most dangerous enemy is often not a foreign power or a political opponent, but our own willingness to believe the most dramatic, least substantiated version of events. The truth is out there, but we have to be willing to look for it and to think critically about everything we see and hear. The claim that Mike Johnson betrayed Trump is a spectacular falsehood, and now you know the whole story.